Assalamu alaikum viewers, you are watching Hard Talk, and today our guest is brave Kashmiri leader Ms. Mushaal Hussein Mullick. She is chairperson, Peace and Culture Organization, and she is wife detained Kashmiri leader Hurriyat Rahnma Muhammad Yasin Mullick. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for inviting me.
Can we start Hard Talk with you?
Yes, most welcome. Please begin.
Any regret after becoming a wife of Kashmiri leader Muhammad Yasin Mullick?
I've been asked this question a few times by people off the record that, it has been a roller coaster ride for me, playing around with, troubles and adventures and goals which are so risky, and it's like really cutthroat. But I believe that every moment in this journey of this marriage with Muhammad Yasin Mullick, and I'm literally not just wedded to him, but I'm wedded to the entire cause. I myself feel that I have a reason to live. I have a goal in life. I have a mission. And maybe because of this spirit of inside me, which keeps telling me, which yearns for a goal in life, which is larger than life. So I think I'm very, contented and very focused, and with every passing moment, I realize that maybe I was born for this kind of life.
What you will say, Kashmir is not only a national issue, it's an international issue. How are you satisfied the response of international community towards Kashmir?
It's the oldest pending issue in the UN agenda, with over a dozen UN resolutions lying pending over there. And the beauty of these resolutions is that there's no time bar on them. The principal party is obviously the Kashmiris, and we have four parties to it. It's India, Pakistan, Kashmiris being the core party, and the fourth is the international community being the UN. So it's something which needs to be really focused on by the UN to implement those resolutions, because we have waited for a long 70 years, over 70 years, and till date we are seeking for the implementation of these UN resolutions, because according to the Universal Human Rights Charter, every human being around the world, the first line, the clause says that you have a right to honor, dignity and freedom. Yet it's a pipe dream for Kashmiri people. So I think it's high time that the world should focus on the only nuclear flashpoint in the world where two nuclear states are loggerheads with each other, with eyeball to eyeball, and now we have China also, which is the third nuclear force in it. And we have seen that on 27th of February, how close India and Pakistan were when in exchanging a micro-nuclear exchange, God forbid, which could have wiped out 2/3 of the global population. And the nuclear commands are in the hands of a fascist, psychotic thinking, Hindutva extremist mindset man, Mr. Modi. And we could expect any kind of troublesome adventure coming from him, because he holds the trigger buttons there of the nuclear codes. So what is the issue that should keep the international community on guard right now? Should only be the issue of Kashmir, because unless and until it's not resolved and Kashmiris are not given their birthright, I believe that we have the dangers of a nuclear ticking time bomb.
Are you satisfied with the performance of current government regarding Kashmir struggle?
Satisfaction is a very strong word, I would say, because the level of atrocities, gross human rights violations that are taking place in Indian occupied Jammu and Kashmir, they're not lessening with time, they're growing, they're aggravating, and they're increasing the intensity of violence against an unarmed and defenseless nation. And I believe that satisfaction will only come when the bloodbath decreases, when there's de-weaponization, there's demilitarization, where the only two things that grow there are the Indian Army boot, the vegetation that grow there, or parallel is the graveyard of innocent Kashmiris. So the Pakistani government has a heavy responsibility on them right now, especially after abrogation of 5th of August, because they have to respond to the lawfare committed by India by making every Kashmiri a refugee, stateless on their own land, when we are the heirs of that land, and now we are homeless, or we are displaced. We don't have any voting rights, we don't have any property rights. We don't have any economic rights. We don't have any social, political, religious rights left. For Kashmiris, we are literally becoming extinct. And at this time, the highest crime of the world, genocide, is being committed. So Pakistan really needs to go forward to the international institutions, international courts of justice, International Criminal Court, to People's Tribunals, to the UN Human Rights Commission, to the Security Council, to raise a radar and alarm for the world to stop India from committing these crimes, because they are violating not just the UN resolutions or violating basic fundamental rights of humanity, but they're also violating UN resolutions, bilateral treaties, and so much more, that sanctions can be imposed upon them by global forces. Yet no practical action has been taken. So this is where Pakistan really needs to work hard to change the global focus on not just condemning, but also taking practical steps by stopping this violence.
Do you believe accountability by yourself regarding this Kashmir movement?
Of course, I can demand an accountability by the People's Tribunal, even by the International Court of Justice, as being a stakeholder, that I am a wife of the top Kashmiri leader over there. Our family is a divided family, and according to the Geneva Conventions, and India is a signatory to the rights of political prisoners in Geneva Conventions, and so many covenants where India is a party to it, and it is violating them. And the way India took the case of a terrorist called Bhushan Yadav to the International Court of Justice so that he could communicate with his family, terrorists, India is taking that issue abroad. So India has set a precedence to move issues like these from bilateralism to international courts. So why not the issue of Kashmir, that India has violated the UN resolutions and international law, and we can challenge them on individual cases, such as my case of a divided Kashmiri family that is not just victims but are also leading it and are peacefully advocating. And we demand justice, we demand unity of our family. And I'm also a Pakistani citizen apart from being Kashmiri, so Pakistani government can take my case forward as well.
Normally there was trend in Pakistan to collect charity on the name of Kashmir, but you change this scenario, and you are working without not taking a single pie charity from anyone. So how you meet your financial expenses regarding this movement?
It's actually, the beauty of this movement is that every Pakistani, because I'm based in Pakistan, they are unconditionally, passionately, the people support our movement, they sympathize with it. And I believe that because it's not that the Kashmiri people do not need humanitarian aid or they do not need economic help right now. Yes, of course they're starving. There's a medical emergency situation over there. There are no vaccines, there are no medical care for them. People are starving to death because there's a colossal damage to the economy. Jobs are not being given to Kashmiris. Educational rights have been snatched, especially after 5th of August. How the situation is like for them economically, socially, politically. We need resource for them, but the problem is that how can we send that resource to them? That is a major problem. So if we have no access to them, even Doctors Without Borders cannot access them, can reach out to them, nor any aid can be sent to them. So why should I collect charity on my own individually? For that, I believe recently when OIC session was conducted in Pakistan with a special focus on the situation in Afghanistan, of a war-ridden country which has faced war for over decades, and people are suffering there, people are being displaced. The Muslim Ummah joined together and established a humanitarian fund to help them out, to take them out of this situation of economic deprivation and this darkness. So I think if that kind of initiative is taken by the world bodies or by the OIC, a collective global or Muslim Ummah bloc is formed, taking practical steps to establish a fund, humanitarian fund to help them out, to bail out the Kashmiris, or a legal fund to advocate their case internationally, I think that would be a welcome step. So how do I meet my expenses? Wherever I go, I do lectures, or we don't have to book any hall because out of respect, people give us free halls. People, chip into the protests or the rallies. We just need to publish a banner. But yes, we do. My mother or myself, whatever savings we do, I sell off my paintings. I do some charity work through that, through my own work, or by presenting the art and culture of artisans from Indian occupied Jammu and Kashmir, some of their products which are available in Dubai or in Azad Kashmir. I try to collect those items and bring those wholesalers and portray their artwork or their cultural or their handicraft industry to the world through providing them an opportunity or platform, be it in various art galleries of Pakistan or abroad. So I kind of become the middleman in gathering all the business community or the artisans and presenting the artwork to the world. So for that I don't need any resource as such, but
the organization Peace and Culture meet the day-to-day expenses for this movement?
Yes, voluntary people are working for us on voluntary basis around the country and abroad also. We do social media campaigns, we reach out to people, but as such we have not established any kind of fund for them, but we are thinking that
and how much that's important?
It is very important if it reaches out to them. If there is no way to reach out to them and we are just collecting funds and just keeping them in our pockets and not sending them there, then I think it's unfair to collect resource. Secondly, we are thinking of starting a campaign very soon where we will request the public and the people, because people are ready to send resource to us because they know that we are leading the movement and we have no interest whatsoever in any personal gains from it. So we will be requesting people around us for social media campaigns on Kashmir, for which we need to design some marketing strategies of the way the Palestinian movement is globally, it is campaigned all over the world. Yes, for that we will be needing resource and we will be generating funds for that in the future, but those will be open telethons and we will be arranging fundraising events for those goals that we will be targeting on in this coming year.
Lastly, tell the most important thing is that you follow normally Qaeda-e-Azam Muhammad Ali Jinnah, and normally people say you look very expensive dresses and very glamorous and all these things. So how you would address them that's important for this international movement?
I don't know if it's glamorous. Actually, Kashmiri dresses are very beautiful. Farans, Kashmiri farans made of gold and silver threads, which I got a lot of them on my wedding, and some antique pieces of my mother-in-law. And you know me very well. I'm like every other woman who has a taste. It's Kashmiri handicrafts are our weakness, and I wear a lot of Kashmiri handicrafts, and not just because I like them, because I want to tell the world how rich our culture is and how unique our identity is. So for that matter, yes, Kashmiri heritage and Kashmiri culture is very glamorous, and it is beautiful masterpieces of art with intricate threads and the way the shawl weaving that we have, because our organization is Peace and Culture organization, and I practice what I preach, and I try to promote my culture by not just talking about it, but by actually presenting it to the world.
What is most hard thing in life?
I think the most hard thing in life is patience, and with every passing moment I realize that if patience was not there in my life, I would have gone insane, because the level of uncertainty that we have, the way my husband is in a death cell, and the kind of fake cases that have been imposed against him, that the level of uncertainty definitely reaches out to insecurity in life. But I think with that comes the power of faith in Allah, and that is what my mother always says, that do not cry in front of the public, cry on the prayer mat and ask Allah for help, and He gives us all that courage to fight and to wake up every day with a new battle, with a new courage. And Quaid-e-Azam Muhammad Ali Jinnah is and was my ideal, and he was always immaculately dressed up, because he believed that the people who are leading any movement, they should not in any way look ill, look weak, or their body language should always be very, very strong. There are times when I don't want to even get up from my bed, when I want to weep all night at the tragedies in our life and what's happening with my husband. And in a marriage of 12 years, we've only spent 60 days together. So then again, the spirit of, not giving up, and the promise I made to my husband before his arrest was that I'm going to stay strong, and my body language will be strong. If you imagine your army chief is in, wearing the dilapidated clothes which are shabby, and if he is heading any war, so you would expect that your army chief would be very strong, physically fit, even if emotionally inside he's breaking down. So in the same way, a leader, you recognize the leadership qualities in your toughest and your weakest moments, when you are giving complete personal sacrifices. And we've seen that Quaid-e-Azam Muhammad Ali Jinnah was an embodiment of that. He was extremely weak. His health was dilapidating with every passing day, but his enemies had no idea. So that kind of spirit is in me, it's in my husband, is in my mother, and we like to, especially when we are in a battleground, we would like to dress to kill. And
If Hollywood offer you a movie about Kashmir, so would you sign that movie?
Sign that movie? I'm not an actor. But I would definitely encourage Hollywood and international movie makers to make movies on Kashmir, because it's an international dispute, and it's a current most oldest pending issue in the UN agenda, and with a lot of crimes and with a lot of heroic stories of women, children, warriors there, freedom fighters, and I think with a very beautiful art and heritage and music and Sufism, I think we can make beautiful masterpieces on Kashmir.
Thank you so much. Viewers, today our guest was Kashmiri leader Ms. Mushaal Hussein Mullick, chairperson, Peace and Culture Organization, and wife detained Kashmiri leader Muhammad Yasin Mullick. We spent a very good evening, with beautiful evening with her, and she given all the answers of the hot talk. See you in our next program. Goodbye.